My dad told me I was too ugly to ever get married, so I brought someone to prove him wrong. Dad never held back about my looks. Every time I came downstairs with makeup on, he'd shake his head and say, "All that effort, and for what? You can't fix ugly with a makeup brush." When I turned 16 and brought up prom, he laughed. "Save your money. Nobody's asking you anyway." The worst part was how casual he sounded, like he was talking about the weather, not his daughter. Mom never said a word when he got like that. She'd just get this tight, uncomfortable look and change the subject to homework or chores. My little brother Cole, who was 14, would roll his eyes, but he was more interested in his video games than anything happening at that table. Dad worked construction and came home every night complaining about his back, his boss, the price of gas. But somehow he always had energy left to comment on my face. "You got your grandmother's teeth," he told me once at dinner. Poor thing. At least someone was desperate enough to marry her anyway. When I started senior year and mentioned applying to college, he scoffed. "What's the point? You'll get knocked up and drop out. Might as well learn to cook now." The breaking point came 2 weeks before graduation. I'd gotten into a state university with a real scholarship attached, the kind you actually have to earn. I was so proud I printed the acceptance letter and left it on the kitchen table. When Dad walked in and saw it, he picked it up, glanced at it for 2 seconds, and set it back down like it was nothing. He looked at me and said, "A degree's not gonna fix that face. You're still gonna be too ugly for anyone to want. Pick a job where you don't have to deal with people." That night I called Ryan, my lab partner from biology. We'd been paired up all semester and he was one of those guys who was just genuinely decent to everyone. Never made me feel small like other guys did. "Want to help me prove my dad wrong about something?" I asked. He said yes before I even explained what something meant. The plan was simple. Ryan would come to Sunday dinner and play my boyfriend. I coached him on the details. We'd been dating 2 months, met in bio. He was planning to study engineering at the state school. Ryan actually was good looking, played baseball, and had this easy confidence that made everything look natural. Sunday came and I took extra time getting ready. Not because I thought it would make me pretty, but because I wanted Dad to see the effort. Ryan showed up right on time in dark jeans and a crisp button-down, holding flowers for my mom, just like I'd asked. When I introduced him as my boyfriend, Dad's face went completely blank. Dinner, Ryan was flawless. He complimented Mom's cooking, asked Dad real questions about the job site, and later helped Cole finally beat the level he'd been stuck on for weeks. He held my hand at the table and called me beautiful twice. Once right when Dad was clearly listening. Every time Dad tried one of his usual comments, Ryan cut in with something warm instead. When Dad muttered that I was too picky about restaurants, Ryan just smiled and said, "I love that Maddie always knows exactly what she wants. That's rare." Then Dad brought up my unfortunate features, and Ryan actually looked confused. "Are we talking about the same girl?" he said. "Because I think she's gorgeous." The kicker came when Ryan was leaving. He kissed my cheek right in front of everyone and said, "See you tomorrow, beautiful." After his car pulled out of the driveway, I found Dad standing alone in the kitchen looking lost. "Where'd you find him?" he asked quietly. "Biology class," I said. "Turns out some people actually think I'm worth dating." Dad nodded slowly, not quite meeting my eyes. He seems like a good kid. The next morning at breakfast, Dad didn't have a comment about my hair or my face. Instead, he asked if I wanted a ride to school. "Ryan's picking me up," I said. He just nodded and went back to his coffee. Across the counter, Mom glanced over at me and didn't look away this time.